Hello friends, Diana here from Garden Love. The temperatures here in Southern California are hitting triple digits. It's about in the 100s, maybe a little bit more. And it really got me thinking about how my trees are doing, if I water them enough before this heat wave kicked in, or if they're fine. And it got me thinking, man, there are some trees that just need that extra water, and there's other trees that they do completely fine when these heat waves hit. And I wanted to point out the top 5 fruit trees that I personally have that notice that are drought tolerant and they do great in the heat. In case you live in an area where you have tremendous heat like we do get some here in Southern California, and you might be thinking about planting one in your garden. So let's get into it. To start, I'm sure this comes to no surprise, the number one drought tolerant tree that I recommend is a pomegranate. They do amazing once they get established. These next few tips that I'm going to give you to get a fruit tree established applies to all the trees that we're going to speak of, and I'm going to tell you as we go. The number one thing is to make sure that you heavily mulch your tree and that you heavily water it the first few years. After the first few years, once this tree gets its roots established, even if you just give it a little trickle of water, it's going to survive, thrive, stay green, and give you tons and tons of fruit. So pomegranate is one of the fruit trees that I highly recommend if you are in a drought tolerant location. So let's move on to the next one. This might come to a surprise to you, but this is actually a very drought tolerant tree. Last year, this whole area, the irrigation system wasn't doing that well. And I didn't even know that this tree wasn't getting enough water. And when I realized, I obviously fixed it, but somehow this tree had a lot of leaves and it had some fruit to provide, which I was stunned because I was like, how in the world did it thrive in those conditions when the other trees around this area were struggling? So this is a persimmon. It has a lot of fruit. It's been here for about 3 years. Last year was its second year, considering that it was only inside the ground for about a year, a little bit more than a year, and it got very well established within that year, and it was able to sustain the drought. This is one of the top 5 for sure. So if you live in an area where you have little like you don't want to waste water because it's expensive, and you have hot summer days and there's a drought in your area, persimmon is number 2. Obviously, give it some fertilizer, give it some mulch, and when you first plant it, don't forget to give it plenty of water. Let's go to number 3. Oh no, I just heard a squirrel in here. You guys better leave my tree alone. I hear you. Now I have a testimonial about this tree. If you guys recall, this tree used to be in a container for many, many years. In fact, the year before I planted it, I was struggling to water all of my fruit trees in containers. This one only got like 2 little leaves coming out of it. I mean, it looked like the entire tree was dead. If you want, go back to my old videos. You guys will see that I gave you guys a tour. You guys saw this tree. A lot of you guys said that it was dead. I refused to give up on this tree, and during the winter, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna plant that tree in the ground and see what happens. After that winter, even though it had gone through the whole summer completely root bound with little to no water due to my neglect, you guys know my story, I planted it, and to my surprise, this tree bounced back. I didn't even give it that much water during the winter. When spring came, I gave it water just like any other tree, and this thing took off. As you guys can see, it's grown twice its size. It has so many flowers. It's not getting as much water any more than any other tree in this hillside, and this is just the one tree I suggest that you also get is the jujube tree. It is loaded with flowers. I can't wait to share the fruit once we have it. Sorry if you guys are a little bit in a slope, or I'm in the slope, because where I put you guys was the only place I could put you guys so you guys can see this. That's the tricky part about filming up here on the hillside. There's no flat surfaces for me to put my camera and share this with you guys. But this is my jujube. It definitely is drought tolerance, highly recommended. It does have a unique taste, and it doesn't have as much meat as you would like when you take a bite. I just found I just grabbed this from my tree, and I heard a squirrel in there, so I told him, you better leave, because I am getting some of this fruit this season, and hopefully they heard me. But so you might want to go find the fruit before you plant this tree, because some people might not like it. I personally, I love almost all fruits. I can't even think of one fruit that I don't like. So my palate for sweetness and sour and tart is really wide. So I suggest you try this fruit before you actually invest your time and energy. But I do recommend that if you live in a drought place, and this tree is amazing. I honestly thought it was dead. Suggest that you guys go back and look at that footage. But yes, it's definitely drought tolerance. It does amazing. It's considered to be invasive a little bit because it has runners and pups will come up. You can transplant. I actually have 2 in a container, and I don't know where or when I'm going to plant them. They're getting proper watering, so for now I'm at peace and not worry about what to do with those. So let's go and tell you what the next drought tolerant tree is, and you're going to be surprised. Let's go. This might come to your surprise, but mulberries are also drought tolerant. These trees, despite my neglect throughout the last few years, you guys know the story, have been surviving. I don't know how. Sometimes they weren't even getting water for weeks, and somehow they're surviving. I recently refreshed the soil in here. I recently gave them my massage technique. If you guys don't know what that is, go look at how to properly water your fruit trees. I gave it mulch, I gave it a deep watering, and now it is lush again, but they have been surviving. So I would pretty much consider that a drought tolerant tree. Somehow they're surviving, somehow they were still giving fruit. I don't know how they're doing it. So if you want, let's just talk about how beautiful this tree is. You guys know that I love a good looking tree, and this tree is a focal point, the center of your garden. This is like the tree to get if you're gonna do your landscape. If you want a twist of a edible landscape, the weeping mulberry, amazing. I love things in pairs. I have 2, but I want to put one up on this hillside just so it can be like the focal point when you drive up this driveway. I love it. I love it. So I might invest in another one once I get through all the trees that need to go and get installed. But highly recommend this tree. Highly drought tolerance. I mean, I know it's not in the ground, but the fact that it's in a pot and it was surviving on little to no water, that should tell you something, because you know most trees that are in pots, if you don't water them, they're done for. So highly recommend this tree. Weeping mulberry, I am sure that regular mulberries probably can withstand droughts as well. I can attest for it because I don't have any at the moment. That will come later on, maybe next year. I'm still analyzing my landscape to see where I want them. But that's number 4. There's one more, and let's go to it. Have you ever wondered how some trees survive out in the wild? Like they're just out there growing on their own, and they're fruiting trees. Like who's watering them? Who's fertilizing them? Who's giving them what they need in order for them to thrive and survive? Some trees are just so good at being drought tolerant that even though they're not getting waters for months, weeks, they're somehow surviving. They're somehow have the root development for them to go out and search for what they need. And I would have to say that this is the one tree that you would always find out in the wild for some reason. And I think it's because it does such a good job at taking care of itself. So fig is my number 5 drought tolerant tree that I highly recommend. Like I said, we are in the 100 degrees right now. I don't even know how I'm surviving out here without sweating. It is hot. It is very hot, but this heat made me think about this, and I wanted to share this information for you guys. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hi, I'm Diana. I've been growing fruit trees for the last decade, and I'm here to show you guys and talk about all the techniques that I've learned along the way and share all my failures so you guys don't have to. But let's talk a little bit more about this fig tree. Okay, so this fig tree is also not getting a lot of water. As you guys can see, I have 2 drip lines. I've often come and check on it, and I have to hand water it sometimes because the timer that I have on the rest of this hillside I cannot up the water just specifically for this tree. So sometimes I hand water things, but somehow it is thriving, it is growing, it even has fruit this year that I'm probably going to have a chance to taste. This is my strawberry fig that I planted with Charles from Ivy Organic. So I'm really excited. This is definitely an option. If you guys haven't tried a fig, I definitely suggest that you guys find a store that sells them. They're not commonly sold at just any store. So yes, you're gonna have to find a store that sells figs so you guys can try them before you guys go and plant a tree. Well friends, those are the top pick for me for drought tolerant trees. I have had a great experience with them. I personally have seen it. I want to know whether you are growing any of these trees, what state and zone you are growing it in, which ones do you recommend the most, and if this video was to decide whether you should get one of these trees, which tree do you think you're going to end up getting? I hope this video was informative and helpful. If you're new here, consider subscribing, like and share so more people can get this information out. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.